Welcome back to your third intermediate Java tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about hash maps. Now if you're here for the game development and you've been following the Pong tutorials and Space Invaders tutorials, you know what a hash map is. But if you're not, if you're here, say I redirected you for AP Comp Sci or whatever, you're in a class or you're just trying to learn Java, this is the tutorial for you. So let's go ahead, and before we do anything, before we actually do anything, let's make our project. So tutorial 03 hash maps. Alright, so a hash map is a special kind of list. It's a lot like an array list, but a little different. So let's go ahead and make our package, shs gd.tut03. And let's go ahead, before we start at all, so let's make a class called city. So city is going to hold a couple things. So private string city, or name, this is the name of the city. Private string, oops, I guess I can't do that. Oh, string, here we go. String state. By the way, if you need some help, some auto completion, control space is the shortcut for Eclipse. So private long population. Alright, and let's go ahead and make a constructor. Oops. Let's go ahead and make a constructor using fields. All of them. Yes. Alright. So we have city. Let's go ahead and get rid of super. We don't need that. Alright. So let's make a public void print. Just so simple. Sysout. Let's do a string.format. I'm going to teach you guys what a string.format is. It's pretty much a way to concatenate strings to make them look pretty much easier. So in here you do basically a template. So let's do a s. That means we're going percent sign means we're going to put a variable in, and then the letter that comes after tells it what kind of variable it's going to be. So percent s means we're going to give it an s, a string. So city state has a population of, and then percent d means we're going to give it an integer or a long. So just make sure you know this. You can look up how printf works, or printf or string.format, how all that is. It's very time saving and better looking than just concatenating a bunch of stuff. So name, comma, state, comma, population. Alright, oops. Alright, so as you can see, name goes into this, state goes into here, and population goes into here. So that's what that does. And then we're just going to generate some getters and setters for all of these after print. Always good to do that so you can have a full class. Oh, and I forgot to close that once from the last tutorial. Okay, so that is our city class. So now we can get started learning about a hash map. So from the Oracle website, or actually no, I don't have the definition of a hash map on here. That's fine. Let's go ahead and make a main class. So a hash map is like a list, but it's like an array list, but instead of using an integer to access the elements like an array or an array list, it actually uses any object that you would like. So, and that, instead of being called an index, is actually called a key. So let's go ahead, hash map, just like an array list, you have to import it. Oops, import it. java.util.hashmap. There it is right there. So let's go into how to make a hash map. So if you remember, in an array list, you put in these angle brackets the type, right? So, but in a hash map, we have to tell it what kind of thing will identify each element in the hash map. So hash map, so that comes first. A really nice thing you can do with hash maps is make a string the key, and then you give it what type it's going to hold. So it's a hash map where the string is a key, and it's a hash map of cities that is, each city is identified by a string. So as you can see, hash table based implements Let's look down. No, it doesn't have the parameters. That's fine. So yeah, these are called generic types with the angle brackets. I will be doing a tutorial next time on generic types, so be on the lookout for that. So to instantiate a hash map, you do equals new hash map. You could just do that. Obviously, you'd have to spell it correctly. You could just do that, but you know, I like putting the types back in when I do that. So yeah. So if you remember in an array list, you did array list dot add, and then you gave it a value, you know, something like that. There's actually a different method. The name is different on Hashmap. So it's actually cities dot put. So string key. So that's the type that we're using to identify it. Let's do a simple LA. So that's the key. And then let's do new city. So let's give it Los Angeles, California, and 1855 1 2 3 4 zeros. Okay, that's the population I have on here for some reason. Okay, so this is how we add an element to a hash map. As you can see, we gave it our key and our value. So a really cool thing you can do with hash maps is, say we have music in our program or sound effects or whatever, you put in the instance of the sound effect into a static hash map that can be used throughout the entire program, and you can just identify it by a simple string, like the name of the sound effect. And then you can use it throughout your whole program. Very easily, you can access it without having to know its exact index. You just need to know the name that you gave it, which is very nice, and you're not using too much resources doing that, you know, instead of instantiating it every single time. And it's easier to look at than an array list. So that's why hash maps are really, really nice. So if you want to get us, actually let's just add more to our hash map. Let's actually just add the same one, just with the same method we did here. So dot put, and we're gonna just do that again. We're just gonna change these values. So we're gonna do NYC, New York City. So New York City. Obviously it's in New York, and the population is 8406 123. You don't have to copy these numbers down exactly, obviously. So you can do that. That's another. We're using the same method to put it in. You can also put in an existing instance of an object. So city. Let's do one for Simi Valley. I do not live in Simi Valley, but most of you guys do. So I'm just going to do you guys the city. So Simi Valley, and let's go California, and it has a population of 126,181 as of like 2014 or something. Okay, so cities dot put, we call Simi Valley, or just SV, and we're going to give it Simi. So it's an existing instance of that. So you can do that. That's perfectly fine. So all right. So now we have our hash map. It's three. Hold on. It is 3 long, and yeah. So go ahead. Cities dot get. Okay. So this is how you get an element in a hash map. You do dot get, and then you give it the key. So LA dot print. All right. So luckily, it's not actually checking the instance of the element itself. It's just checking the value. So if you have the same, you know, this with this, it uses the dot equals method. It does not use equals equals. So that's why it's great to use strings. So let's do that. That's how you get it specifically. This is a city right here, and then you can use it as a normal city. So we call that Los Angeles, California, has a population of blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now let's do a for loop. So for city C in cities. So you'd assume that this would work, but actually it can only iterate over an array or an instance of java.iterable. So actually Hashmap does not have java.iterable. So So what we actually need to do is we actually have there's actually a neat little method called values, and this returns something. This returns a collection, which is pretty much collection is basically let me see if I can get to the whatever. So a collection can be iterable. It can be done with this. So that's really nice. So c.print. So it's just a for each loop. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay. So as you can see, the actual order that they're put in is not the order that they come out. It's kind of random. Because their actual order is not important. They're not actually confined by any sort of listing or sorting rules. So please be aware of that. Just important. Array lists and arrays are usually better, especially if you have a list with a certain order. You can't even, I don't even think you can call collections.sort on this. So that's what that does. So yep, those are hash maps. Very, very important, very basic, or not basic, but it's a root of a lot of programs use hash maps, especially when it comes to graphics and sound and things like that. As you can see, they're pretty simple to use. They're not too hard to wrap your head around, hopefully. And yeah, so I am rambling, so I'm going to stop. So see you guys next time, and have a great day. Bye.